to build the hood of this Aston Martin. We see here that trial was made to approximate the edges here, which is a pretty good trial, but we have a surface which is lying quite far away from the hood surface. So I will template this. We go to display template. Cool. We have here a couple of curves already set up by the modeler, in this case Andrea, and I will try to show him how to do this. So what I would do is I will template this curve as well, because it's not the cleanest. I would want a nicer transition on the CV, so better CV layout, a bit shorter and a bit longer and longer again, then they would have the longest degree separation there. And for that I will take a new curve. So Alt Control snap it to this one, Alt Control to the other one. And we see in this view that curve sits on this plane. So we could make a draft here. So we go for the draft tool. I'm sorry, but I will need to search it here because I'm used to my shortcuts, but I want to let you see what I'm using. So let's click here, and then we have multi-surface fillet, blend, round, the draft here. Now I would take a draft, and I will take the draft vector option, the view, and then I'll pick this curve that I have there. I'll make a double-sided single surface, the proper length to it, and I will make sure that we don't have any problems. I will refresh the vector here. I was in the wrong view, so let's try again. We'll try to approximate this curve to sit on a lampshade there. Bring it out here, rotate the model, move it out here as well. We see here now most of that curve is sitting nicely on that line that we have there. So I will try my draft again. So view, double-sided single surface, no crown, no nothing. And I will set it out to be even longer, so it comes out through this model. There we have it. See? Now, what I will also do, I will take now a curve in the top view, starting from that area there. I will extend this to match up with that line. Then I will take degree 1 curve, bring it from there to, let's see, there. And I will move it up. This one I have template. I will move this line up in Z. And now what I will try to do is to approximate that curvature there. With that, we'll tag that plane, give it a different color, and now we also see the contour. So I will first turn it into a degree 2. Bring this CV forward, out, till we see that we are resembling here. Another thing we can do is also extend this line a little bit, because we want it to sit on that line there. So, and also this end curvature here, this coming off of a blend. If we look at it carefully, this is a strongly accelerating area. You can also bring the edge all the way to the front. It's going to take some exploration there, but I would snap that point there. The reason why I went with degree 2 is that it looks like this would be enough there for the moment. And now that line, I will project it in Z onto that surface. So Z projection, and I will switch on red to create curves. In this case, I will take a curve fit because it increases it in the CV number. And with this curve now, I can move it even higher up, and I have the approximated edge there. This I'm templating because I will use the history function on this. That means that I will create a surface which is more or less alive here. This curve, if you notice, has the CV here in the middle. So what I will do for that to exist on the other side is I will go to Edit, Duplicate, and then Object. And for the translation in the Y direction, I will set that to -1, which means that it mirrors it across the middle of the car. And I will set it to be an instance, which means that it's a live copy of that curve. And I will duplicate it. This is one of my go-to tools up to Alias 2024, so if you'll excuse me, I will want to understand why. Oh, it wasn't this translation, it was the scaling across the Y direction, which has to be -1. Sorry for that little error there. Now, if we duplicate it, see, now it's there on the other side. And we can also see that we're shooting correctly all the way to here-ish. And then we have, let's say, a bit of a... we're lacking precision in the mesh there, but for the sake of this exercise, we will do it this way. So I will extend this back. I will put the CV onto that one, to that projected curve. Let's take care of this, as we don't need. We have that one. We will put the NCV of this curve onto that CV, so we know we'll close it on both sides. And then we make sure that this NCV here is matching up with that one there. And now this will allow us to generate a bi-rail. So generation 1, generation 2. Let's see these curves. So Let's pull this across this point here with a stretch tool across that point there. Let's try again. So I see that I've made an error there, so I will need that curve again. Let's try this again. I deleted the curves, which I should have kept. This is why it's not working. I'll make here a profile of this. Let's make another curve here of this. And this way we replicate again the this is still living, which is good. So we don't need this. And we don't need that second curve that I generated. We just need its origin. So that curve. Let's line it up now with this other curve here. Then we go back to generating that curve. For this, the multicolor shader helps us a lot because we can see how that contour is working. Let's take that and snap it also to the same curve there. And now we know it's going to work. Let's hide this away. One curve here. We'll take the newer curve, move it up. I'll turn off the CVs on these curves so I don't move them by mistake. And now let's see this. Let's make this a degree 2 curve. Let's do this in the top view again. And let's see this with the mesh. Now we'll take this CV, move it to the front, approximate its shape as best as we can. There we go. And now we will project this curve onto this surface in the Z direction. And we will query edit that, so I look up the history and ask for a curve to be done, and a curve fit option will do for the moment. So now we know that this curve is sitting on a plane which will avoid some of the unnecessary S-ing that you would have in a clay model or a polygon model, because sometimes these things do happen. Now we have 1, 2, 3 curves. We know that they're connected. We just need an instance of this across the other side. So let's go to Edit, Duplicate, Object, scaling on the Y direction -1, and as an instance, and let's duplicate it. Amazing. So now it should work. We will generate a bi-rail. These are the 2 generation curves, and these are the rail curves. And we get a surface in there. And now we will be able to compare that surface with the mesh. And you see we're sitting pretty closely on it. Of course, some minor adjustment might be necessary. That can be done using these curves and using the cross sections. So let's see the cross sections here. That'll be in the cross section editor. And I will be using the y-axis, and now we will be able to see that we are a lot closer than before. But you see we are missing here some crown across that area, and on the sides we're matching pretty closely. So how do we solve that? First of all, we can give a bit more crown on that direction, and because I have history on the whole surface, I just need to adjust that curve there. So now I can make that to be a degree 3 curve. I can take the CVs there and slide them a little bit more forward. You see, with history turned on, my cross sections have bumped up to the proper place. Another thing we can do is lift these points a little bit, move them out. You see here we're matching pretty nicely as well. Let's go back to the multicolor shader. And we are getting slowly there. Now we have a bit more crown on that area, so it might be that we might need to click here, match original. This takes us the same CV layout that we have from the curve that we projected there. We turn off the CVs on this one, not to damage the history on it, because now we can play a little bit with this. Move it in the normal direction. So bringing it in a little bit, and you see now we're getting back closer to this. And we could turn this up to be a degree 5 curve, which will allow us to control the areas a little bit better. Here we come back a little bit. We are getting closer on the sides. And now we can increase here the crown to get where we want to be. I think that's pretty decent test that we've done here. Let's see the highlights. I see a lot of crown in the front and pretty flat at the back. But since we're trying to approximate that, now I'm checking the different variants of highlights here. Let's see, this is what we have in our surface. We can also check the model. Now we see that we have a very similar situation, flat at the top, very round here. So for this particular exercise, this would suffice. Bring this back, and now we can go into detailing the surface if you want to do detailing. If not, the other thing we could do is getting this edge in. And to get that edge in, what I would do, I would take that curve, copy paste it, move it to the front, move it down, back, down, move its CV to this endpoint here. So control snap it to the endpoint. And let's rotate this curve in the Y direction, so we are getting onto that there. Also, one very important thing, especially on these edges here, to get the quality in, we would need these CVs to lay on one plane. So that means if I get here a curve, that point, and then I'll snap this with a stretch tool close here, we will need to bring this CV so that a bit back or up, so the green line lies on the blue one. Let's do that. Let's bring this here. We zoom in. Of course we could do this by projecting, but for the purpose of being quick, I've just pushed it that way. Okay, so we see that here we are lying in the model, so we could move the CV with the CV move to normal out. This one also in the normal direction could sit outward. This one as well. So this way we are approximating that edge there. And now what we could do is in the side view, we take a random curve at first. Try to keep it 90 degrees to the edges there, and we can project it onto the surface in the side view. And we can build this acceleration patch, which gives us the end section there. After that, one of my go-to tools would be simple freeform blend. Curvature at this end, being a curve here, is going to be position. And I will edge align it here. And then I will just trim away this last section there. And now I will turn on my sections there to see where I'm lying. Now, here we see that we're below the model, which means that we might need to rotate this curve a little bit to push that accent forward. You see here. We might need to bump up the volume here a little bit. And now we are where we should be. We'll push also this curve a little bit more forward. Take it out of that area where we have the graphic opening, these two intake areas, or the depressions, whatever we want to call them. And let's also see the blend value, the shape value, that's 1, it's the default. And this is how you can approximate this area. Now the next steps would be to bring in these depressions that you have here normally on the Aston Martin 177. It has a depth, and Vladimir has provided a very good tutorial on that. So you project this edge, the other edge on it, build a depression, and then you can go ahead and detail this. I hope you like this explanation. If so, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you later. Ciao.